It was 4,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, before the Empire. The Republic found itself in a time of relative peace. The Sith had been all seemingly eradicated from the galaxy, but a new threat was always over the horizon. The warrior race known as the Mandalorians were on a crusade to conquer the galaxy, and the Jedi Knights are all that stood between Mandalorian control and the freedom of the galaxy. Following the story of Zane Carrick, a young Jedi Padawan who trained on the Dantooine Academy and was looked after by the head of the Jedi Enclave, Council Master Vandar Tokari. The first few years of his youngling days, Zane was trained on the Jedi Enclave located on the planet of Dantooine. Carrick was barely accepted to the Order due to his marginal connection to the Force, with many masters describing Zane's relationship with the Force as special, and not the way you might think. After he was assigned to be the Padawan of Jedi Master Lucian Dre, Zane went on to train under his supervision on the planet of Taris. Throughout most of his training, Zane never expected to go so far. He lacked confidence in his own abilities, and the fact that he was treated as nothing more than comic relief by his masters and fellow Padawans wasn't of much help either. Once on a given time period, a group of selected Padawans would take part of the knighting ceremony that would recognize them as fully fledged Jedi Knights, and Zane's time was just around the corner. Zane would be tasked with the capture of a con artist and overall hustler by the name of Hieroglyph, or Griff as Zane would refer to him in the near future. His capture would mean that Zane has met all the requirements to be knighted and recognized as a fully fledged member of the Jedi Order. Operating on the lower levels of Taris, Zane would attempt to capture Griff as it was his last assignment to complete in order to be part of the knighting ceremony that would take place later that evening. But capturing the Snivian would prove to be not as easy as Zane originally thought. Evading the young Padawan at every turn, Zane believed that he would not reach the rank of Jedi Knight at this rate. But still he pushed on until he was able to finally apprehend Griff. Zane planned to bring in the Snivian at the last minute in order to at least qualify for knighthood. After securing the con artist to his speeder, Zane rushed to the Jedi Tower of Taris, half expecting that he would not be knighted once he was there. But soon, Zane would realize that his earliest concerns fall astronomically short compared to how his life would drastically change forever. Unknown to Zane, and to an extent the Jedi Order itself, a group of masters established a secret order amongst themselves, tasked with stopping the re-emergence of the Sith by any means necessary. Being composed of the Jedi Order's greatest seers of that time, working around the clock to tap into the Force to see ahead of their own time in order to catch any sort of hints as to the Sith's return. And unknown to the young Zane Carrick, his very own master Lucian Dre was a part of the secret covenant. During a training exercise with their own Padawans, the Masters with the exception of Lucian received a vision through the Force, giving them the indication that the return of the Sith would be brought by one of their own. According to the Master's interpretation of the vision, a figure sporting a red spacesuit which at the time matched the suits that the Padawans wore during their training session, which led the Masters to deduce that the return of the Sith would be brought by one of their own Padawans. The Masters had all decided as a group to deal with the matter personally, without alerting the High Council about what they had seen. Meanwhile, Zane had just arrived on the tower, docking his speeder and Griff along with it, hoping to at least catch the end of the ceremony. But when he opened the door, his face soon changed to one of horror. It was that much clearer that what he had witnessed was something terrible. Opening the door to the council chamber, Zane stepped in that room and found all of his fellow Padawans dead, each at their master's feet, with Lucian in the center, looking right at Zane with a glare that would send chills down everyone's spine. Ironically enough, it was Zane's tardiness that had very well saved his life. Before they could grab him, however, Zane turned and ran the opposite direction back the way he came in, as the beings who were once his masters pursued him in order to tie up this loose end. Zane's time as a Jedi looked as if it was over before it truly began. His life drastically changed by a Force vision interpreted by the Masters as if the young Padawan would bring on the return of the Sith. Having no other way except the life that he once knew, Zane had made a promise to himself to seek justice, not only for himself, but also for the fallen students, his friends, put down by the very people who should have protected them in the first place. But this promise would also be heard by the Masters. Zane had made sure that they would. Sending a transmission from an unspecified location, Carrick said the following. "Hello, Master. I'm running now, but I've had the time to reflect on your teachings. You say the living sometimes have to suffer to serve a larger goal. I have seen how you live by that. Well, I have a goal now too. Justice. For myself, for my friends, for the people sacrificed to the plans of the so-called infallible. And it will definitely involve some suffering. Because you see, I've had a vision of my own. One day, one of you is going to confess and clear my name. And to make sure, I am going to hunt down each and every one of you. The one that confesses lives. I don't care which one of you does it. It doesn't matter where they send you. You have a death mark the same as me. Don't look for me, Lucian, because I will find you. And if I do end up collapsing the Jedi Order, just remember one thing. You started it." Hey everyone, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed the video. If so, please feel free to subscribe for more videos like the one you just watched. Have a great week, and may the Force be with you, always.